role in that, the green revolution in India was triggered by seeds. And in fact, like many of those seeds, they were not from India origin. So they're like, global institutions like CIMMYT, etc. helped in getting those dwarf varieties of wheat. India worked very closely with IRRI, Indian scientists. We developed, the new rice varieties, and we achieved self-sufficiency. So seed would play a very important role for Africa to achieve self-sufficiency in food production. I've been a seedsman for last 30 years, have built new crops, business, new companies, worked in 3 continents, and unfortunately so far I have not worked in Africa. I was telling someone this morning that, this continent is where I have not worked. I have worked in Americas, Asia, Australia. So the opportunity for India and Africa, in fact, like, hey, learn, India can help a lot in capacity building. So I think Africa's model has been so far a lot around philanthropy. And I'm a strong believer, like, hey, you have to be on your own feet. Philanthropy can take you only there. If as a civilization, as a country, as a society, you have to have sustainable food production, sustainable resources, even a family, you have to be on your own feet. India, like many of us sitting in the hall today here, as well as, the private businesses, our bureaucrats, many of us have roots in agriculture. And we learn like hard lessons like, hey, agriculture alone will not make the country prosperous or developed. But yeah, you produce enough to feed yourself. So our professional and our, I'll say like technocrats from India, we can help in building capacity in Africa, right from breeding programs, seed production, infrastructure. But one area where I believe ICFA, FSII, I am also the chairperson of FSII, NSAI, we can work together with the African governments, African businesses, is about answering 3 Ws. So I'm a businessman, so it all starts with what. What do we want to do? What collaboration? Which crop? Second is where? Which country, which region? And the third is how we do that. So if we can develop a digital directory of Africa, digital directory for agriculture, which map all the agroclimatic zones, soil types, irrigation sources, then, it would be a very easy task for seed businesses, professionals from India and around the world to figure out like where do we go, how we get the approvals. So developing, in fact, the policy environment, developing regulations, that is another important area. Starting with human resources, then regulations, then infrastructure. And in the near term, of course, India can export, the African businesses can import from India. We are in fact, like we have a very vibrant seed industry in India. But I tell you, 10, 15 years down the line, Africa has to produce their own. And I can tell you in 15, 20 years, in India, we will have a challenge of producing our own seed. This is what is happening in developed countries today, even in China. So maybe 2 decades down the line, we can start importing from Africa.